What's up, everyone? Welcome to the latest episode of Power Spike. Dgon, Jamada, and Dom back in action as playoffs around the world have kicked on off. Multiple teams have been eliminated from competition since the last time we spoke, and a couple teams already qualified for Worlds. Congrats, Movistar Koi, yet again. They do not miss Worlds. They are in. Trying to remember who else slotted in, but definitely them as like the most recent ones. No one in LCK has made it on in yet. We'll find out tomorrow with Gen G versus KT. If Gen G win, both T1 and Hanwha already qualify for Worlds. So big congrats there to the LEC outfit. But since last time that we spoke with El Dominico, it's been a little while. Some things have transpired. And we actually did a sack tap with Yamato. It was a Yamato sack tap, which was just as manly, but definitely not the same. So let's get into this week's episode of the sack tap with the man himself, the first sack tap since the Cloud9 playoff run. All right, Dom. A lot has happened. Whipwood stuff has happened. Team loss has happened. You've got a lot of time back, co-streaming again with LPL and bragging about how much time you've had in your co-streams.
Yeah, nice.
Let's catch up. Let's start with the playoffs, right? Even all the way back to like the DSG win or DSG victory and into the loss later on to 100 Thieves. Just kind of encapsulate what the last 2 weeks have been like for you, and also I guess we'll get into the team year in general.
Yeah, I mean, the loss versus 100 Thieves, I mean, that loss obviously sucked, but to be honest, like, I felt like the team actually played better versus 100 Thieves, and 100 Thieves was a significantly better team than Shopify and DSG. So, like, we played really bad versus Shopify. The fact that we lost to Shopify, I think that's the one that, like, killed our year, because every now and then you can lose to a team like 100 Thieves, especially like when, they're riding their high. And I think also 100 Thieves is just a team that's played well into us all year. Like, we lost the two previous times we played against them this year. And I think that they're like one of the only teams that has like a mid laner that can actually like win lane against Loki. I think the Quid is probably the best laning mid laner. And just like the matchup is not easy for us. I still think we should have won the series, but it was definitely a harder series than the other ones. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the loss to 100 Thieves, it's like, it's hard to contextualize it, because it's one of those teams where, like, how they're going to play, but the way that they play, it's like, if you're going to be one-dimensional, being the team that can fight everything and that is good at fighting is probably one of the best, like, one-dimensional teams you can have, because at the end of the day in League of Legends, you are going to have to, like, just show up and fight something at some point. And I felt like just in general, like 100 Thieves just outfought us at a bunch of like key times. I felt like game one was probably the hardest loss from my perspective, because I felt like we had them checkmated in draft. Like, they have a Kali Vi Rumble into Galio, Orianna, Nocturne. I felt like we misexecuted the way we needed to like play these games, which is probably just how we've played throughout the year. I don't know if it's like a coaching problem or just us not being able to like make these types of adaptations on stage, but I saw us consistently trying to like Ori Nocturne combo, where I was hoping like, just hold your abilities, let the enemy team come into us. If Akali and Vi are diving and we have Orianna ult up and Nocturne ult, Galio ult, and all these things to counterplay it, they shouldn't be able to win the fight. Like, Ezreal, in my opinion, will just never carry this game. So that was a tough loss. What was game two? Game two we won pretty easily. Game three was the loss where our Otacons are really bad in this series, which I was disappointed in, because I felt like that was something that we did really well versus DSG. Is like, our Otacons were actually really good, where we knew how to like pull it. We knew the locations we wanted to fight in. But it felt like we were just I feel like almost we thought we were too good at Otacon because of the last series, and we started doing Otacon with like very minor advantages. It's like, this guy is like half an item behind me, let's just force Otacon. Like, these were the types of advantages we were using to start it, as opposed to like, this guy is an ult down, or people are on, terrible places on the map, or we've got a lot of vision control, like, around the objective. Like, these were the things that I thought would be more useful in terms of like when we started. So that was tough. But Yeah, I mean, obviously the year just feels like a failure at this point. It's so fucking weird in this format competing in like summer split because it goes from like, you know, there's no championship points. It's not like LPL, for example, where you get championship points. It's like, okay, well, you're gonna have a gauntlet or something. It's just you lose 2 best of 5s, you're out for the year. And these best of 5s happen on different patches, right? I think we played different patches against like Shopify and versus 100 Thieves and Dignitas, played a different patch in regular season. And I felt like we didn't adapt to the patches super well. It's probably like how we go about things. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's something that the team has to correct going forward. Is the first patch was like the Viego Nautilus jungle patch, where like every team thought that they were going to be playing Nautilus jungle, so everyone's playing Nautilus jungle. We're playing Viego mid, all this stuff. Then right before we go on stage, we're like, actually, we think it's kind of shit. Let's not do this. Turns out most people thought that Viego mid and Nautilus jungle were shit. Like that was the conclusion most people came to. Maybe we wasted too much time on trying to like add those picks into our champion pools, and then also like it just didn't feel like we played close to as well on stage. So that's probably something that we need to like really diagnose why that is, why we lose confidence so much after one loss in a series. Because if you think about like how our year was, we didn't win like any close series besides for the one against DSG, which is a team that like, you know, we thought we were much better than. But I think that's something that we have to like look into more is like, why do we lose so much confidence after one loss? And I don't know if it's because normally we win all of our scrims, so we just like a loss is like too shocking or something. But we just didn't respond well to losses in series throughout as a favorite. And I don't think we like realized what made our team better than those other teams, or like the reasons why we would win scrims. I think a lot of people's perspective, it's like, oh, do you guys just win lanes all the time in scrims? It's like, I mean, sometimes, but not really. It's not like every game we're just smashing every single lane, and that's why the enemy team can't play. A lot of times, you know, we'll just make better decisions. Like we have more plays in our playbook than the teams outside of FlyQuest is how I felt like we normally were. And I just like when I watch FlyQuest, for example, it feels like FlyQuest has iffy stage games all the time. Like, I mean, even in the series versus 100 Thieves, like I thought the first game FlyQuest should have lost 100%, but I feel like they're just a much more calm team when it comes to like how they try to win games. Like they're more willing to wait for the best possible moment, wait for the enemy team to make a mistake when they have the ability to. And I felt like that was something that we were decent at doing in scrims, but on stage it felt like we were so pressured to do something to win the game as opposed to letting the game breathe a little bit, you know? Okay, like what are minor advantages? We have a wave pushing in top. Like who's going to catch that wave? Can we do something to that person? Can we do something on the other side of the map? Like it just felt like a lot of times we're like, oh, small advantage, hit Otacon, hit Drake, hit Baron, and it felt like we felt very rushed. When I was watching us play, it just felt like we were playing with a lot of like there's you could like see the tension in the games, where it felt like we just weren't letting the game breathe enough. So it's a bad loss to 100 Thieves, and it just feels so fucking bad that it's like everything that we did in spring just means zero. You know, like just and. I think the weirdest thing for me is that like in spring split, I felt like we actually weren't that good. Like we didn't know what was going on in certain situations, and we improved on a lot of that stuff. And then our results were so much worse. It's like, I don't get how we went from like having big holes in our game knowledge, big issues with our gameplay, and then like 3-0ing TL and Shopify to like then playing this split. And then our last 3 best of 5s were all 5-game series, and they all felt really off when we were learning more about the game and we were becoming a much better team, it felt like. So I guess that was always the weird part about competition is like it's not even about like do the results match up. It's like I didn't think we were that good in spring, but I thought we became a lot better in summer, but the results, like we looked like a completely different team every time we went on stage. So it's very confusing to me, especially being like remote. It just felt really like I don't know, I just felt like helpless a lot of the time, like on stage days. So I mean, I think that's something I have to consider, right? Like I feel like a lot of coaching is done in person, and I felt like way more useful when I actually did coach in person. So I probably have to make a decision to either coach full time or not coach, because I just think that that's what's going to actually like make me feel at least like I'm having the influence I can have. It's like if I'm there in person compared to being online. Like when you're online, it's like I don't know. It just feels like you're just useless on the days where the games are actually being played.
just because we finished on that topic, Jamada, I'll get you in there in a second. I just want to know, like, I've heard you say that before. What would you have done differently in that final series? Like, what would have been different if you were there?
I mean,
I feel like could have been impactful there.
I mean, I just don't know what the vibe of the room is like why we make certain decisions that we do, or why we feel like we're pressured by certain things that we're not normally worried about. Like, I think that for me, it's just like, I think you need to be able to like read the room, make adjustments. And I think reminding people of like what makes our team good is probably really important. So, I mean, I think it's just case to case. It just feels like even if I wouldn't be able to change anything, I just feel like I'm not even like part of the team on those days, you know? Like, it's scrims, I'm there, I can see everything, but like on those days, I just feel like I'm not even like, I mean, I'm helping with prep for like the first couple games because those are the ones that are repeatable. But then after, it's like a fearless draft, certain champions are out. Once you're in that discussion backstage, I feel like that's where you need to be to feel like you're part of the team. If not, like, what the fuck are you doing? You know, I'm just co-streaming the games and I'm like, I hope we win. That's how it feels. That's how it felt like pretty much every series. It's just like you co-stream the games, you're just hoping that we fucking win.
All right, Jamada, get in there.
Well, I don't know what else there really is to say, because I think Dom handles a lot of the like perspective of especially being the online remote coach part exceptionally well, right? Not been there at the LTA or the tier 1 level myself, but bro, that shit sucks. Like, not having that face to face, and again, that ability to read a room, be like, hey, this is clearly what XYZ person, like, this is what my top lane is, this is what my mid lane is, what whoever it is needs to kind of just calm nerves, keep stuff quiet. And yeah, I think to me, C9's issues were always very face up throughout a lot of the year. And I think that was kind of what was one of the more frustrating things about watching them go through this journey and be like, wow, this team has an incredibly high ceiling. And you can like visibly see it through through multiple different game sequences and multiple different individual games where it's just like clean, open shot, like stomps, or Dom's favorite term from time to time, a little bit of slow stroking in some game states where it's just like, yeah, hey, we know we can take our time with this game because it's very difficult for us to lose. So yeah, I'm not sure how much there really is to add to the topic, to be frank, because for me, this C9 will kind of go down as a relatively big what if, which kind of sucks to think about to me, because it was very apparent that they were on the same level multiple times with this FlyQuest lineup, and said FlyQuest lineup very clearly looks like the number one team in the LTA, probably obviously the whole region, right? Both north and south. So yeah, I don't envy your position, Dom, especially because I can tell very competitive in nature. Like, you have to be, if you're ex-player, like you have to be competitive to be in that spot anyway. So I don't envy the probable drive that you've gotten back, I can imagine, from even just being remote.
Yeah, I mean, I have a hot take, which are like these formats, bro. I actually think that this is going to be the worst worlds for the West ever. Like, I think that this is going to be like, I think so, brutal, because I think that literally, I'm watching the LCK teams, and I think the LCK teams are getting better. I think the LPL teams are getting better, and I actually think the LEC teams and LTA teams are getting worse because of like the formats that Riot has decided on in these regions. Like, I don't think that you can do this 3-split format and have best of threes on two days a week. Like, I just don't think that it's possible to improve like this, like on a realistic level. So I don't know what they're going to do next year, but I actually think that, including FlyQuest, I feel like most teams outside of 100 Thieves and maybe Lion got worse in the LTA. I think every team got worse outside of Lion and 100 Thieves. And like 100 Thieves, it's like partly because of change of players. And I think that Lion I think it's honestly partly change of player as well. You know, like, it's just like those teams just got better players and that's why they improved, or they had ability to improve more. But I think that this has just been like, I don't know, it's so weird to go through a format where you just have games that are so meaningless. Like the first, like, no one gets eliminated from the regular season. There's almost no format that's like this, by the way. I think this is the only format in the entire world where no one gets eliminated from regular season. Like, fucking LCK, you have bottom 2 teams get eliminated. LPL, you have bottom 4 teams get eliminated. You have bottom 2 teams get eliminated in LEC. Yeah, I mean, no, it's just so weird that you have like an actually meaningless, like you play so many meaningless games in the LTA. It's like the positioning phase that we had last year or last split, where it's like you have best of ones and it's literally means 0. Like it actually just means nothing. So you have games that are completely meaningless where there's no pressure, and then you jump into like elimination games, or if you lose 2 best of 5s, you're out for the year. And I think that it's such a bad way to improve, because I remember like when I felt like we improved a lot, it's like when we played against FlyQuest in those best of 5s, like I think that those mattered a lot. And when we played against them, like on stage in regular season where it matters, but it's not like life or death, I felt like those are games that you can take a lot of value from. But it's like, I mean, even in LEC, LEC's had this series against KC, like that, like G2's got this series against KC, like that's the thing that they've got this entire year. Like that's like this entire split, they've got like one series that actually felt real. The other ones didn't even feel like they were playing against real opponents. So it's messy, man. Like I just think that this is going to be an LPL LCK complete fisting session going forward.
Yeah, I think
like more than normal.
More than normal, and I think we're going to be very lucky. That's the way that the Swiss currently operates, because it's not with the proper seeding stage to stage. Is more or less going to guarantee at least one Western team out of.
Also there's only 7 LPL and LCK teams combined instead of 8 normally.
Well, that's
so always, they're going.
Mathematically, you're almost guaranteed 2. Like the chances are, like you're very, very close to.
Yeah, to probably that. CFO is getting in there, right? Like I would assume the CFO will.
And the CFO. So like, it's. I don't know. There's a lot of things like wrong with the formats, be it Worlds or like the best to cleared all of our regions. And I've been spitballing like recently with other people, and I kind of just wonder at what point, and I don't know how hot of a take this is. I think the West is in very desperate need of just more stage, like air quote stage days, right? I am kind of considering whether or not it would at this point just be a good idea to run the league, not like daily, because we're not, neither of us are the LPL's 16 teams, but 5 days a week or 4 days a week, some days offline, days.
Yeah, I think they should online. Do remote. I think they should have remote games.
I think there needs to be remote games. I think it's the only way to reasonably close the gap, and I think it just kind of benefits every single party involved. I kind of struggle outside of maybe like some like forms of logistics of how that would be bad.
I mean, you had to do it during COVID, right? Like you had to do some remote games during COVID. Like that was, and they were able to make a format that actually worked with those remote games being played sometimes. So I don't know. It just feels very weird. I mean, especially all the break weeks. Like it doesn't, like LEC has so many break weeks.
I mean, with the LEC, I think some of it is like, we're playing sibling to Valorant in that studio, and in part they've kind of formulated,
which is completely fucking stupid, considering LEC is more popular than Valorant. Like I don't know why they would do that for LEC. Like they're just like, I don't know what type of leadership that is. I don't know if they have just more hope for Valorant becoming bigger, and they're like, oh, LEC is like to be honest, maybe it could be other things. Like for example, LEC, the viewership is good when KC or Koi plays. When those teams don't play, the viewership is fucking terrible. Like imagine if Casual didn't stream when like Giant X is playing fucking Navi or some shit. If Casual didn't stream these games, there would be like 20k people watching on Twitch on the mainstream. Like it would be that little, right? So maybe it's because they feel like, oh well, the numbers for LEC are kind of fake. Like they're not real League fans, where maybe there's more value in getting potential Valorant fans. But for LEC, it's like, I just don't understand how you can have a week break where no one else is taking this week break before the regular season starts, right? Like everyone else just jumped directly into regular season. But LEC had the week break before regular season starts. Then they played 4 weeks where teams only played 3 out of those 4 weeks, every team had like a week off in there. So then teams play 3 out of 4 weeks. So they have another break week. Then after they have another break week, right? Like after they had another break week, and then there's another break week in playoffs. Like that is fucking crazy to me. There's a break week in the playoffs. Like how could that possibly be a thing?
These German work laws, man, letting you rest for free quite often. I mean, I don't know. It's very, very silly. And that's why, I mean, I kind of say I feel like just doing offline days might just be the way forward. To one, I think it just helps all the teams, right? 2, the product is available more frequently, and 3, I can't remember like the actual figures off the top of my head, but turning on that studio is not cheap. It is not cheap at all. Besides just like the obvious like overhead of running the building, you know, it's all the production people, all the security, all the medical staff, all the catering, all like it all adds up, and there's multiple layers to it, which you just don't have when you run an online. As much as I hate to say it, because my problem is I feel like Riot, from everything that I've observed, whether it before I was a caster or otherwise, I feel like they would just go either all in offline or all in online. And that's my worry. I don't feel like they would ever strike a balance of, okay, you know what? Fuck it. Let's have games on the weekend in the studio, right? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or just like Friday, Saturday, or just Saturday, Sunday, whatever it is. And then if we do days, let's say similar schedule to LCK, where we just do Wednesday through to that Sunday, those first 3 days or so are remote games, and just call it a day. Because again, a remote day, bro, all you're paying is the day rate of the casters, production, referees. I actually don't know. Like, I don't know if I'm missing anyone off the top of my head. It's a very cheap way to run the league whilst getting everyone more of what they need fundamentally. So like, I don't even really feel like the logistics of it would be that bad.
It's just more of, they haven't done it other than necessity, right? Obviously, they brought it up in COVID, but they haven't done it before, you know, and esports being a spectacle. Esports is supposed to be something that wants to be watched. You know, it's, you know how like, if you upload a YouTube video, just like I recently uploaded my long form interview with Gen.G CEO Arnold. You should go check that out on my YouTube channel. When you upload a video, you can upload it as a premiere, right? And it's an event where people stop and watch it. That is what it's always supposed to and strived for when it's a Riot product. It's supposed to be an event that people stop and watch, not something that is just kind of on and constantly. So I think the issue that is happening is that you have the competitive nature of it and the production purpose of it, right? And the competitive nature obviously is, I mean, we'll see. It hasn't happened yet, Dom, but if they go to Worlds and get fisted, there's a very clear thing that can be pointed to, and it's how many games were played. Oh, they played triple the amount of games. Sure, done. And of course, because they're playing more games, you think, oh, it matters less. No, it doesn't, because everyone's playing more games. There's less spots to make it on in. You have to keep up. Whereas with the lack of games and the lack of stakes that were there for some of these teams in LTA North and in LEC, you know, how much experience can you really gather? How many, you know, like maybe if the Cloud9 boys were put in more stressful situations in recent memory from this year, they wouldn't have looked so tense. They wouldn't have been so stressed out, because they already did that in a way that didn't, you know, wasn't Worlds, you know, Worlds qualifier there. So, I think that's where a lot of the conversation comes from when it's that. But a definite big call, and leadership have acknowledged that some of these formats are not great. LEC has been out front there and acknowledging that. It's missed the mark, the classic Riot thing.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know why. Like, they like, okay, so why do they need to be told in real time that stuff is shit before they like admit that it's shit? Like, they promote like this format. They literally did this a year ago. They promote the formats, and everyone is like, "What the fuck? This looks terrible. Like, this is a horrible format." And they're like, Just trust us. Once we start fucking playing it, then you'll fucking see how oh wait, it is just shit. And then they just realize it's shit, and then you just move on. Like, I just feel like it's very weird to, like, who the fuck tried the pick and play thing in NA, where good teams only play against bad teams? The entire split is just good teams playing against bad teams. Nice. Like, how is that ever going to be hype? I don't know, man. It just is the same thing as always. So for me, I just don't actually think that I think that they know it's going to be bad, but they just would rather it be cheap. Like, it just not have to run the league more days and not invest into it. It's just like, it just feels very lifeless in a way.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what all the leagues and what League esports and Riot esports in general have planned, right? Because Riot now, they dropped 2xKO. They have the TFT tournaments going on now. They obviously have champions going on. It'll be interesting.
Actually out.
There's a closed beta.
Oh, yeah, closed beta is out. But I mean, they're pushing it, right? So
yeah.
I'll be interested to see what happens here in the future with the game that got them to this place. I'm not saying that, you know, there isn't room to continue to grow, but there are clear issues happening. Yeah. All right. We'll leave it there. What a tap it was. The sack tap. All right. One down. We got multiple different segments today because we have stuff that's happening around. Let's get to fraud alert here, because we had a couple of teams with different scales of what success look like, Jamada. One from Europe and one from Korea. Let's get into this week's fraud alert. It's Fnatic and T1. All right. So obviously T1 got the win, took 5 games. They made it on through that first round matchup as the 3rd seed from the Legend group. So the 3rd team overall. Should they have been there instead of Hanwha Life? They needed to win one more game. And then Dplus came firing out on all cylinders. They came out with unique drafts. And Shiwu was playing not like a rookie anymore. Shiwu was playing like LCK Cup Shiwu. She was a tournament player. You know what happened? LCK had one long regular season. Road to MSI doesn't count. So therefore, he was playing like some garbage in the last several weeks. He turned it back on Doran, and Doran kind of looked like a little international Doran. Forgot that he was domestic Doran. On the opposite side of our fraud alert, Fnatic, who had an opportunity to qualify for Worlds, is right in front of them. Here comes the Ghost. And they had some really fun games, unique drafts, Twitch being pulled out there for upset as well. But the chefs over at MCoy, they always cook. And they end up clutching out one couple of extra team fights there, and they're the team moving on to Worlds. Fnatic now will face Casey for a singular slot in Worlds. And this experiment with Mickey, with Upset, with Poby finally breaking up Humanoid could all go to shit. So who is more fraudulent here for their performance this past week? Is it T1 almost getting eliminated, but not looking like world contenders, world finalist contenders, world championship holders? Or is it Fnatic, the team with potential that finally made the moves needed, but fell short when it was clutch time? Jamada, you go first.
I'm looking at T1 first. I'm taking up Dom's mantle. I'm not going to lie, man. T1 are very, very fortunate that Aiming decided to do what he did on that midwave. I like
the allegations against him. Like, I don't know, they're great. They're gaining validity after like that fucking
yo. That's what I'm saying. That's what I just, after that sequence where they caught, and I'm just going to talk about the game 5 for a second first before I kind of zoom out and look at the series as a whole. After that sequence where they catch out Doran, they get the towers bot, that game, by all intents and purposes, should have been over. Like, I do not think, outside of pretty much just like T1 Magic and Aura and all of the like random bullshit that they get away with a lot of the time, that they should have gotten away with that win. But aiming and Beryl came up clutch.
Yeah.
For T1. Whether it was the mid-wave thing, and it's funny because I normally this last week I've actually been awake in the morning to catch the series. Typically I live on a Texan time, so I'm waking up as the series are finishing. I got to watch this live, and I called out because I was actually streaming it. I was like, the only physical way that DK can fuck this game state up is if somehow Carrier hooks aiming, or Beryl has a Beryl moment, and like it's probably Carrier catching him and like making that a thing. Aiming gets hooked on the midwave for no reason, just uses his flapper smolder in front of the Blitzcrank for poke damage. Fair play, cool. And then after that, Beryl's hex flashing over a wall to try and wallbang Azaya with two of his teammates behind him, and no one behind Beryl. I don't know. It just felt bizarre, especially considering DK have just looked the way that they have for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then to see them come in and actually just like throw dokes with T1 was genuinely an exciting thing to see. So to almost, and I'm not dampering down, I don't want to like dampen down the series for what it was, because it was actually a very fun series, like from start to finish for the most part. But that game 5 to be, I feel like I was robbed of what should have been an upset because of aiming and Beryl's decision making. And I sat down with Orcs after the series, and he really made me realize something. Aiming is anti-clutch. Aiming might be like he just can't do it in the moments where he needs to be there. He's not there. He makes that mistake that fucks up a game state, that makes a game significantly harder. And I think that Smolder game was a very good example of that. But yeah, outside of that, I was just very surprised at the return of Shiru, like you highlighted, Dgon, and his overall level. And also, I just felt like for most of the series, Showmaker had a okay showing, which was probably the bigger surprise or the nicer surprise to me. Because I think for, again, the last couple of weeks, everyone on DK has been performing. That's no like secret. But of course, for the standards that we have of Showmaker and the standards that we have, well, depending on who you ask of Bearer, I think it's become a norm now. His level and the performances that he's been putting out haven't been particularly great. But I felt like at the very least, Showmaker and Lucid together had a good series where I felt like for the most part, Showmaker was going toe-to-toe with Faker in a majority of the matchups. It was only really, I think, the Akali game out of Faker and the Victor game in Game 5. Like, Faker's side laning in that Game 5 was very, very strong. Like, a lot of decisions that he made, and maybe, Showmaker helped him out making the easier ones, really did turn those games on their head. And I think it was the top side skirmish in Game 3 where Faker just glided. Like, it was really like prime mechanical Faker, not just like, the Faker that we know now where it's like, hey, he might be losing a couple of lanes that he maybe shouldn't be losing, but in those bigger moments he makes the right decision. No, this was like prime hands checked on you Faker, and that was very fun to see. But yeah, I think in many ways I just felt disappointed because of the Game 5, even though the series was very back and forth and it was very exciting. Seeing a team collapse like that was a bit heartbreaking, but very, very in character for DK. But for T1, that is not a showing that is inspiring confidence in me. After everything that, the journeys of improvement that T1 have had, that was not great. That was the first time, Doran having a quiet series. Doran has been probably the engine of this team, I think it's safe to say, for the last couple of weeks since they returned back from MSI. So to see him have a quiet series into Shiru and make Shiru look and feel confident is not the best look. And it does make me wonder what is now going to happen against HLE with Zeus. Now, granted, Doran, the DNA results are in. Or Zeus, the DNA results are in. we've seen it time and time again. But a performance like that throughout an entire series, I think that puts, like, from even from an analyst perspective, it puts doubts in your mind. It's like, how is he going to play into Zeus now? Like, that's a very, very big concern. So I feel like, considering T1 probably should be in the lower bracket right now, I'm scared for the HLE series.
Yeah.
I feel like the bottom side of the map is one where, again, I look at Viper and I look at Delight and I say they should be able to throw hands very, very, very comfortably, especially Viper. Viper's had a very, very good summer. My main concern still remains, of course, like everyone really, Zeka and Peanut, and the champion pool issues and how they're going to communicate with one another and how they're going to connect with the rest of the map. Because Owner still looks fine, and Faker, I think his floor is getting a bit higher as the split progresses, which is good. So yeah, I'm not sure where I want to put T1 on the fraud alert. Considering they shouldn't be here, I'm gonna give it like a strong...
Hold on to it. Yeah, you'll hold on to it, and Dom, you can go next, but you know what you're gonna say. All right, Dom, go for it. Get in there on this team and series right now.
So the T1 series, my takeaway with the T1 series was that I thought that Dalmon's drafting strategy against Keria specifically was pretty much the best we've ever seen from any team playing against T1. They were extremely cynical. Like, every time I watch T1 play, I always feel like, oh, Keria got Bard and he got Nico, and he just got like all of his fucking, and he got Bard, he got Nico, he got Poppy, like he just got all of his picks like in a row, in order. He smurfed on all of them. He's the best player on the fucking team. Like, he's like smurfing. He's like, looks like the best player in the team. He's the MVP, and he just ends up completely carrying. This was a time where they did intelligent trades against him, where it was like, okay, game one is Nico versus Bard, so you get two champions out, and if you end up winning that game and you're on the Bard side, really good for the momentum of the series. They didn't let him get good Poppy angles. They made sure to like ban these in 4-5. They really prevented Keria from getting his champions. And I think that when he's forced to play standard things like Leona, and like he's forced to play Rel, and he's forced to play all these types of picks, and he's not able to just play like Rakan as his main engaged champion, and then like Nico if he needs another engaged champion, and then Poppy and Bard, and like when he's not able to play these, I think that this is something that makes T1 way weaker. So I want to see what ends up happening when it comes to like, what are we going to see from HLE? Are they going to try to replicate this? Because I feel like this is something that they need to do. The question is, like, will Delight be willing to, like, get in there and play all these picks? Because I feel like Delight kind of wants to just play the engaged champions himself, and he just kind of normally plays his engaged champions into Keria's counter engaged champions, and then it just ends up being just Keria like smurfing in recent times. So that's something that I'm looking at. I thought it was just very good drafting strategy from Dom1, and obviously T1 didn't play that well on the day, but I feel like if they aren't on their Thanos team comps like they are normally, like every single time, I feel like they just become a much more beatable team. So that was my main takeaway, was I just really liked the approach from Dom1 in the series. Like, I didn't think it was as much about T1 playing terribly as much as like, oh, Dom1 had some good prep. Like, they really prepped for this team, and they tried to make T1 the weakest version that T1 could ever be, which is something that I feel like other teams don't do. They just give them credit for playing things that they don't necessarily love playing. So yeah, where I'm at.
Yeah, I like that read. Definitely needed to touch on the drafts there, because it did look lethargic. Like, T1 hadn't played in a while, but also the tools that they had, especially in draft, the meta evolved so interestingly, and we'll talk about it in high key, low key, no key. What important picks have popped up over the last couple of weeks, because AD and support were saved for last almost all of round 5 in almost every single game, and over the last patch in LCK and around the world, we're seeing it, like bot lanes being picked super early. And I think if teams weren't prepared for that, their draft's all off. We've had the same red side bans of Pantheon, Azir, Yunara, like constantly. And then Pantheon got let go near the end of round 5, and people were sliding in different things. But it feels like, okay, draft is such an important thing. We also know we're in a best of 5. So we assume we'll get at least 4 games. So people are willing to pull out different mid laners early, get rid of the supports. It's been a lot of fun to watch. And Dplus falling behind there was not indicative of their preparation in terms of the draft. But yeah, T1 should be thanking themselves that they didn't get knocked out there. Let's move to Fnatic here. Fnatic had the opportunity to make it on through against MCoy. Jamada, will go with you again first. It felt like both teams had prep. We go to game 5 and it's like, the ghost LeBlanc, right? That was there. It was close, but in the end, they fall short. They're not able to make it through. How did you see this series, and how fraudulent is it that this team against a non-G2 side did not make it into Worlds in their first attempt? They do have another opportunity, but how disappointing is that?
Before we touch on Fnatic, I kind of want to just honorary put MCoy in here for the game 4 through. That's it. That's the only.
That was fucking crazy. What's into the Ivern? Like, come on, man.
Yes, bro. Anyway, yeah, big underperformance. Big underperformance. But I think there's many kind of like fingers to point at and blame, I think. That aren't even necessarily all at Fnatic as well at the same time, and they are definitely applicable to MCoy too. I'm thinking like things like the format, where it's just like this team has just not played much with Poby as well, right? So it doesn't. This feels like the first real series that we got to see out of Fnatic, where it's like, yeah, this one matters, right? And at point of entry, didn't really look that great. Basically, at any point in the series, I'll be honest.
This is the 5th series with Poby, right?
First best of 5, 5th series. Yeah, 5th series.
5th series total. Like that.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's a good point, and that's also crazy that I just didn't think about that way.
Like 5th series, we're in a Worlds qualifier basically.
It's fucking cursed. It's so fucking cursed. Like, imagine how fucking like how Poby must feel playing like LCK CL. They play like so fucking much that he's playing this shit. He's like, wait, I can make Worlds? Like, I've had to grind for like years to have an outside chance of being able to make Worlds while playing for fucking T1. Like I gotta try to level up, and then it's like there's all these fucking insane players in my region. Like, I gotta fucking beat Hanwha Life, like Gen G, fucking T1. Like, these are the type of champions that I need to beat to go to Worlds. In Europe, it's like you can trip over and make Worlds. Like, you might just fucking make it by accident. Like, have one good day. Nice, you made Worlds. Like, it's fucking insane.
Just on this topic, is there any player in the East that has had to do that in an Eastern league, other than maybe Beishuan getting put back in here this past week? But because all the examples I'm thinking of are players in the West. Rahel for DSG, and just boom, you're into like playoff mode. Dokla coming back on in for Sniper. That's only a couple series, but they were able to elongate it because they were able to win. Surdy, but that's but I don't think there's an example in Korea and in in China.
Honestly, I mean, there's a fair chance they make it to Worlds, but like, rookie, if you and the IG boys don't make it to Worlds this year, bro, I've got a good proposition for you if these formats stay the same. But yeah, I don't know. It was a very shit slingy series, to be honest with you. And I feel like both these teams on a gameplay level probably left it feeling a little worse for wear than they came in. I think honestly, I could sit here and bag on Fnatic, and obviously that is kind of the point of fraud of that. The one kind of half-ish happy takeaway that I have from the series overall, if this is going to continue, and it's something I've always championed for, give Mo and his weird picks, man. Like, don't jail this guy on his.
I mean, didn't he play like Varus in game 1 or some shit?
He played game 1 Varus.
Like, now look, I'm not saying that it's always
that's best of 5 prep if I've ever seen it before.
I'm not saying that it's always going to look good, but I would rather, when you have a player with a weird pool like that, I would rather it be exercised than you try and force him to be something he's not, right? We've seen it over many times or iterations with now Na'Vi and Rogue, and how that coaching staff had a plethora of different top laners who were realistically very creative. and they pretty much just got told to sit on Ornn duty or tank duty and weak side and have fun. But and Moen, I think, has kind of like been a soft sufferer of this at times throughout the last 2 years. But I'm glad in this series they let him stretch his legs versus Oscar, because Oscar, I think that like
He had moments.
he had moments.
The
yes.
Aurora
The Aurora
Varus, by the way.
yes, the Aurora versus the Varus, right? But it's like it's a layup game, and I do really wonder what, like, imagine Oscar going to Worlds and it's like, you know, you're laning versus 369, you're laning versus Keen, you're laning versus, you know, Doran, presuming that the DK series was a one-off and he returns back to domestic Doran. I could list almost every single top laner from the East, actually, and the answer would probably leave you worrying the exact same way. I'm concerned for him. I'm really, really concerned for him. And I really feel like if his performance doesn't pick up, at what point do Fnatic just go, well, you know, you've had a year and a half, 2 years almost. Time to move on.
Who do you get?
Well, I mean, you know, they've got an import slot if they want to. they've still got a free import slot, right? So the world is kind of their oyster in that front. I think they can go wherever they want to with that trade if they wanted to make that trade. Because I've given a lot of leeway to Oscar, and I think people have given him unnecessary slack about, you know, some of his performances at times where I feel like because he has been such a volatile player for, you know, long stretches of his time at Fnatic, it's easy to dump on him when he's down, and then you raise the bar really high for when he has good performances. Now, this is a series where, you know, again, outside of the Aurora game, which was a layup, it didn't really feel like he had the impact that perhaps you would look at him on some of the champions in these drafts and go, yeah, like, this is probably a game where I want my top laner to, you know, be useful, like, be a wall, be pure, whatever it is. And it felt like he couldn't really deliver that. But I don't know where you go. I don't know who you pick up. And then the other part is just like some of the drafting from Fnatic, like final product, depending on who you are. Maybe you're fine with how some of the drafts landed. Personally, I feel like this team just needs to play standard, like as close to standard, like whatever their idea of standard is from this series. If this is the version of what standard is, I think they need to go back to the drawing board and do some reevaluating. I'm always down to see kind of more out there picks, things like, you know, it was upset Twitch in Game 4, right? How often do you see like upset Twitch? But bro, you've drafted Twitch and you're playing versus Kiana, Leona, Rek'Sai with just Ivern. And like, cool, Nautilus is there, but realistically,
That was hard mode, man.
And they won. That's the fucking game they won somehow, which, whatever, you know, they get paid to do that. I don't. So, but yeah, I don't know. I think much like my take has been for a lot of the year, I don't trust any of these. I don't trust any of these teams, man. I don't. And I think loads of compounding issues, like, above them in terms of like format and stuff. But I almost want to rate this as a low fraud alert. Because this is almost what I expected at this point. Yeah.
All right.
Run Dom.
Dom, get in there, and then we'll grade him up.
I mean, on Fnatic first or Casey? Where are we going? Fnatic? Keep on Fnatic?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Fnatic is just like, when you look at the team, it's like you have Hobie jumping in there with what you've seen from them. Like, this is kind of like what I expected on the high end. I do think that Oscar is just like, it is what it is. Razork's had his time. He is who he is. I just feel like, I mean, maybe the team could grow more. It's just been very quick. Like, it's a very short split with these guys. So I feel like I haven't really got to see like if this lineup has more upside than this. Like, it might just be that They do have more upside, but they just haven't been able to actually grow with this lineup because it's been like fucking 4 weeks. So it's hard for me to really evaluate if they're frauds or not. Like, I think that them getting fourth would be expectation considering this lineup and with Poby. Like, I would think that KC should be better than them. Koi should be better than them. G2 should be better than them. That's like where I had them. So I'm not going to go too hard. Like, I don't think that they've actually been frauds. Like, I just think that, you know, they wanted to have Humanoid. Obviously, that shit did not fucking work because Humanoid is, you know, doing his things at Tomorrowland. So, yeah, I mean, you just have to accept it. It's like, this is what happened when you have to change a player. It's like sometimes you have to change a player and shit's just not good anymore.
And then finally, KC. Dom, you can get in there on KC. Despite the fact, again, KC, they played G2, but how did you feel about them as a team in their series?
I mean, KC as a team, they just look vegan to me now. Like, I don't know, they just look like they're not doing anything anymore. And like before, at least they would do that, but they would control space well. But now I feel like they don't control space well either. So they're just like a very vegan team, in my opinion. They're hard to watch play, to be honest. I really don't enjoy watching them these days. Like, yeah, I just don't feel like they do enough. It's like they tried to elevate their playstyle, like become like Zika and fucking Peanut and these types of players, and yeah, it just didn't end up working out.
They're like the best way to put it for me lately, small tangent, I'm on a cut. I've been eating lean mince lately. Lean mince goes down hard. It's very difficult to eat a lot of lean mince. That's what it's like watching.
What the fuck is that? What did you say? Lean mince?
Yeah, like beef mince, you know?
Oh, like mince.
Like ground. Yeah. Mince. Yeah.
Minced meat?
Yes, like minced meat. Yes, like minced beef.
Bro, who the fuck calls it lean minced?
That's what.
That's what British people call this shit.
Lean mince. Yeah, that's what we call it.
Have you heard this shit before, Dgon?
Dgon's not even there. You ain't even opened the Discord.
Wait, but I thought he still has a headset on. What the fuck?
Maybe he does. Who knows? Look, anyway, point being.
Wait, who's laughing? Who's laughing? Is that him, Jim, in the background? I thought that was
that's our producer laughing.
Oh, that's a producer that's like me. Bro, lean minced?
Lean mince, no D.
Oh.
Lean mince, no D. Yeah, just lean mince. It's okay, Dom. You know, I know. I'm not even gonna do you with a racial joke. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I just agree. It was very, very hard to watch in that regard, and especially when you think about games where it's like, games where they don't want to be vegan, right? They had the Akali game and the Aurora top game.
Yeah, but they are vegan. Like,
but they are vegan. Yeah.
In
so
those
like,
games, they are vegan. Like, what the fuck?
But that's what I'm saying. It's like you have drafts like this, and it's like, well, are you guys even true to yourself? Like, do you even know who you want to be and what version of League of Legends you want to play? Because I look at those games, I'm like, well, clearly not that much. And then at every opportunity and turn, even though you know, for the most part they, like, air quotes, had control of the game, they just get either hands checked or brain checked by G2, who comically, we're calling KC the vegan team. G2 have been the vegan team throughout a lot of this year. You know, like it's G2 that we've had complaints about proactivity around. You know, whether it be objectives or like, hey, it's very obvious enemy team is overloading numbers into bot. Okay, we're just gonna go match them, even though we could get a whole jungle quadrant and like tower plates and make them miss a wave and all these things. Stuff that G2 would struggle to do many times. So
Dgon,
yeah,
did you hear our lean minced?
I'm looking it up now, dude.
Wait, have you heard that? Have you heard that before? As an American, people call it lean mince.
No, I've never.
Like,
it's just ground beef,
like,
right?
Ground beef is what you're talking about.
Yeah. No, I remember. I've been to the States as well, so I know. Like, my bad. Maybe I could have done some like soft translation so you guys weren't confused. That's that's on me. I'm in both cultures, you know? So my bad. I apologize for confusing the American.
So you're a culture vulture, is what you're saying. You're an American culture vulture.
You can't just pick and choose, Jamada. You're in Texas.
I'm either, you know, now a true-blooded American by virtue of marriage or British. Yeah. No, true.
No, you're true-blooded American by calling it ground beef.
Lean minced.
Lean mince refer to the same product, with mince being more of a common term in the Commonwealth countries, and ground beef being a North American term. Also,
Yes.
in Korea, it is called ground beef, not lean mince. All right, anyways.
Minced meat. I've never. I mean, I guess to be honest, I've heard of minced meat before, but I've never
Me too.
But I've never actually known what the fuck that. I just assumed it was ground beef. Like that's just what minced meat is, just ground up.
I think it's like the difference in how it's sold. Oh, we're talking about minced meat on the nice. I like this tangent though. To be fair,
I wasn't sure if you were like just eating mint, like a mint, chopped up mint as a diet.
Well, he said lean, so I was like, okay, so he's talking about
maybe it's
beef,
a brand. I don't
meat.
know. It was a brand of mint that he chops up and eats. I don't know his
Dgon. But Dgon, look,
economic situation. Maybe
you're a gym bro, Dgon. I'm sure you've had to live on like 3% ground beef.
Yeah, 97%.
That shit doesn't go down. That shit doesn't go down easy, does it? You've got to douse that shit in seasoning and everything else that you can.
Yeah,
that's watching a KC series or a KC game, man.
All right. Thank you for the tangent. Give me grades time for fraud alert. Let's start with the lean mince KC. Jamada.
I mean, for me, we're kind of chucking them in there now with Fnatic and T1, right? So yeah, I would say pretty high. Yeah, it's probably a 7.5 to 8.
Yeah.
Again, especially compared to where they were at the start of the year, I don't think that the meta has changed so much that they should be struggling to have developed. And they just they're playing with a lot less conviction overall. And I think that's the main thing that bothers me the most. And I think this G2 series, very, very good case study of what a team that looks like they're at least on the same page looks like, and a team that doesn't really know what they want to be doing at any given moment consistently.
What do you give them, Dom?
5 out of 10.
Oh,
not super fraudulent, because like I think about where they were at the beginning of the year, and like I think that it might have just been that they were overperforming in the first split. Like I didn't think that team was gonna fucking run the LEC or anything when they started. So I think that like after first stand and after like winter split, maybe I changed my expectations, but I don't think that they're like that fraudulent. I feel like maybe this is just like who they are,
Yeah. It has been such a rise in with mostly new roster here that we forget that they were the last place bottom feeders for most of last year, and the change has been good, but the expectation was set after winter. Let's get into Fnatic. Those two, only one can make it out. Obviously, fraud alert might go away if they just qualify on in for them. What do you think?
I'm giving them.
I'll throw mine in. I'll give it like a 3. Like I don't think these teams are actually that fraudulent.
Nope, I was 2 for me. Everything kind of just lines up, whether it be expectation, time that they've had to play, like everything. They are still the 4th team. Seeing them drop out to MKOI, even in the way that it happened, is still not like too surprising.
All right, and then finally, T1, who was the most successful out of these two teams because they won.
Most successfully fraudulent, perhaps, Dgon. They're my highest. I'm giving them a 9. I'm holding them to the standards that over the last couple of weeks, and pretty much since MSI, I think they have earned. And this was a series that, withstanding Beryl and aiming in, they would have lost that game 5. And there's very strong arguments that was like a air quotes 4-1 as well. So I think that was a very, very bad showing. I think whilst it was largely bad, there was some good, i.e. fake performance, right? In more games than not. So still positive takeaways, but they should have been making DK look like the 6th/5th place team that they are, and they did not do that. They're getting a 9 to me.
Yeah, again, if DK make that, if DK win that, they almost, well, it depends. It depends. It would have depended if they make either KT and BNK Fear X qualifiers for Worlds. Like, just because Gen G is probably going to pick DK and then they would beat them. But like, T1 were really close to not qualifying for Worlds on their first go and then having to win 2 best of series. Now they need Gen G to win and then they're in. And it you know, like that would have been the important thing. So I think putting that in context helps set the scale for the score. Dom?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go like once again, my takeaway on this team was that they actually like are a good team, but they just got kind of exposed a bit when it came to draft, which was unexpected. But I don't actually like think that they're bad or anything, or they don't deserve their spot, or like they're not actually the second best team in the world. Like, I don't feel like that with this team. So I'll give them like a 1. Like, I actually don't think they're fraudulent at all.
All right, there you have it. 2 different perspectives there on
T1 lover, man. It is what it is.
That's crazy. Fly the Jamada faker hater. All right, before we do that though.
Yeah, Jamada just hates faker on a personal level. He told me in DMs.
Yep.
He just gave up. He gave up.
God dang it, faker.
Well, with that, if our conversation is making you a little hungry, maybe you want something better than mince meat. Well, our friends.
They actually have mincemeat in factory meals as well. Like, technically, like, yeah, you can get some ground beef in there as well if you want.
Yeah. But I said if you want something else, because they have over 65 different weekly meals that you could choose from, which is fantastic for your taste buds while you're trying to achieve some of your fitness goals, you know, your wellness goals. They got you covered there. They've got the keto meal plan. They've got great protein options, including seafood. You can try out some of the salmon that is there, as well as the shrimp options. And then if you want some international flavor, got you covered there too for the first time ever. Asian inspired flavors are in over at our friends at Factor, who make it so easy to eat healthy, so convenient to eat healthy, and you feel filled. Don't take my word for it. Take Dom's word for it.
Yeah, I mean, so I've been doing Factor meals for like a long period of time, as people know. Been sponsored by them multiple times before, and I've essentially been eating Factor meals for roughly 3 years, maybe longer at this point. And personally, like, I've just always enjoyed them. Like, I personally love the selection, and the selection always changes, so you can choose your meals. The Wednesday for the next week, you can choose new sets of meals, and the meals are always solid. Like, they're always solid. So a bunch of different pasta options, beef options, chicken options, there's fish options, steak options even. You can literally get like filet mignon, and it's packaged, and it's like good, like juicy filet mignon. It's not like some filet mignon where it's tough or it doesn't taste like I mean, it just tastes like it's, you know, refrigerated. It actually tastes good, and the quality of the meat is good as well. So there's a bunch of different options there. I've been eating it for a long period of time. I love Factor meals, so I will continue eating them as much as humanly possible here, because they are my favorite way to just essentially get easy meals in, especially with the amount of co-stream that I do, and, you know, I don't have that much time during the day. It's super fast to be able to, you know, heat them up. They taste good, easy to eat. Like, I just personally enjoy them. So I've been doing it for a while, and I won't stop anytime soon.
Boom. Eat smart at factormeals.com/powerspike. 50 off, and use code powerspike50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code powerspike50 off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready to eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer only valid for Factor customers with code and qualifying auto renewing subscription purchase. That's Powerspike 50 off for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Thanks to our friends over at Factor for fueling Powerspike. All right, let's move on to our next segment here, which is a little bit more about the picks. We're going high key, low key, no key on the meta development over the last several weeks, because as we've discussed with LTA and LEC, they haven't had a lot of matches to show different picks, so it feels like you can come up with some of these surprises. Over in LPL and LCK, it felt like teams were holding back before they got to best of fives. And now that we are in those best of fives, we're starting to see what teams have prepared, what they value. And I wanted to get our experts' opinions on some of the meta picks that have popped up and you're excited about. So let's get into it. High key, low key, no key. Some of the unique picks as we move into playoffs. All right, last time we started with Jamada, so we'll start with you, Dom. Give me a... So we're going excited about in like, is this actually a good pick? Is this a good pick that you think teams are using well or properly? So we'll start with no key, where we saw a pick and you're like, that was some shit. And maybe not necessarily the one that you want to see anymore. And we can consider what game we see it and what the pick is, right? Like, if you want to shit on Varus top game one, by all means, go ahead, because it was Varus top and it was game one. But I think kind of valuing that as we move to best of 5 fearless drafts is something unique that we haven't done in the past. And yeah, it'll be cool. So let's start with one that you've seen and you're like unimpressed with, Dom.
Pick that I'm unimpressed with. I would say
this could be even
now.
like something that, like something that's standard, like I don't know, like Pantheon or a Skarner in game 2 or some shit. I don't know. I keep looking at the jungle.
There's anything in the jungle that I really am like severely underwhelmed with. What pick do we have that's like popping up that I just generally hate? I'm trying to think about all the champions right now. I mean, Cassante is one that I think is like pretty underwhelming, to be honest. Like, I always see Cassante being picked, and it's like I mean, if you look at the win rate of this champion, the win rate is fucking terrible in competitive. It's terrible in pro play. It just feels like people pick it because there's nothing else to pick.
Land on it.
Yeah, they're like, oh well, like what's the top laner we don't have to like care about? Let's do this. So I would say that's probably my no key. When it comes to like low key, I would say something like Nefiri. Like, it's whatever. Like, it's literally just a whatever pick. Like, you can play it sometimes it looks good, sometimes it looks completely useless. But yeah, I would say that as well. And then for like something I'm high key excited about, I think Kiana's actually broken, but just people are really bad at it.
Why is Kiana broken, and why is it popping up?
They just buffed it and made it super broken. Riot just wakes up, like the way Riot does jungle is they just wake up randomly and they just make certain picks super broken.
Yeah. You don't like random jungle mods on different champions and abilities, Dom, that like just entirely shift it, like whole jungle metas for just nothing but the love of the game. That's not something about balance philosophy you're happy about?
They did give it a try to try and buff the AP junglers, right? Like a couple of patches ago with the Zyra, the Brand, and get them in there, but that didn't I didn't quite do anything.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm defending the balance team. Whatever.
Well, I mean, I will say, contrary to Popular Belief, I do feel like the balance team, broadly speaking, does a pretty good job. But I feel like when it comes to the jungle, it just does not feel like they consult junglers. Like, I don't know what else to say. Or whichever junglers they're consulting, bro, whatever you've got, I need to be on that daily. Yeah, I would say I'm going to kind of start off with my high key, which is unfortunately also Kiana. But I'll expand because I feel like Kiana, obviously incredibly stupid fast clear right now, right? With the attack speed stuff, and I can't remember if she also got jungle mod.
No, she had one, and then they just gave like what people need to understand is like when a champion has a jungle mod, when the champion gets buffed, the buff is more in the jungle, right? Because the modification like amplifies it. So it's like they added 10 damage to Q, but there was already 175% damage from the Q to jungle monsters. Plus the Q is an execute, right? Like the Q is an execute under 50%.
Yeah, the rock one.
The rock Q. So all that combined just makes the champion too fucking strong. Like, it just is what it is. It just made it too fucking strong. So I mean, this is like a consistent problem that Riot has. Well, I wouldn't say it's a problem. I think they do it intentionally, right? Like, they're like, ooh, Kiana is a champion whose pick rate is lower than we want it to be, and like it's such a frustrating mid laner when it gets ahead that people don't want to play against it mid. So we're just gonna put it in the jungle because you can kind of just play whatever in the jungle because you're not laning, right? You're playing against neutral monsters. So it's one of those things where they just made it ridiculously OP. We're literally seeing it in game 1 of Fearless. And the other reason why it's considered so OP is that they just nerf everything else. Vi's been nerfed over time. Wukong, by the way, who's become like a first pick now, hasn't got any buffs, by the way. Like, this champion has been not getting any buffs. It's just that other things have continually got nerfed. Vi got nerfed, Jarvan got nerfed. Like, I think even Nocturne saw some nerfs at some point.
Pantheon got nerfed.
Pantheon got nerfed.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like everything just fucking gets nerfed in the jungle consistently, which makes these other champions OP. I think Poppy got nerfed at a point. Skarner got mega fucking gutted from the beginning of the year. It's been like nerfed and nerfed and nerfed and nerfed. Xin Zhao got nerfed too. So yeah, pretty much the point is everything got nerfed. Kiana got buffed, so now Kiana's OP. There you go.
Yeah.
Great. Give us your expanded high key, Jamada.
My expanded high key is one, it's skirmish as well, right? That's always been a very strong point of Kiana. Even pre-6, like some of the setup isn't bad as long as you've got another strong base, like high base damage champion alongside you. But then obviously the ultimate, right? I think especially we're seeing a lot of fights pretty much all of the time, right? There's no stops. But especially around things like Atacon, where, I think teams have over time, I know it's going to be a very funny sentence to hear come out of anyone's mouth, but teams have gotten ever so slightly smarter about Atacon. Ish. Where it's like a lot more about choke control, and in these kind of spaces, that's where Kiana thrives, right? So I just feel like in general,
that's a moment.
well, no, not that last part, but as in the people getting smarter about Atacon, Dgon. Like,
no.
He was talking about the choke control, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Keep going, Jamada. You need to get back to Texas.
I need to get back to Texas. So yeah, I just feel like this champ has very few weaknesses, and I can't. It was one game today where I actually saw it get exploited, which was NIPAL.
The Jarvan?
And that was team-wide effort to ensure
that was cool.
Nayo could not play the game. And even then, it was still useful. Now, granted, AL provided the platform for it to be useful.
But also, Nayo is like the worst fucking disgusting Kiana I've ever seen in my entire life.
He couldn't do it.
It was so pathetically bad.
If he can do it, Dom,
it's not broken.
So smile.
Just for people that didn't watch that game, and we'll talk about the series later. It was like if Jarvan ults and puts the Cataclysm around, then the Supreme Display Talent goes around the Cataclysm, which does nothing. It basically doesn't. Maybe it stuns Jarvan if Jarvan doesn't EQ out. It's a pretty cool counter.
No, it's not a counter. It's the opposite. Kiana is good into Jarvan. People like Kiana into Jarvan.
Why? Because then you just kill Jarvan with your ult, but then you don't have.
You can push him out of the EQ.
You don't even care about pushing him out of the EQ. It's that like if you don't have to ult when he ults. Like, it's very hard for him to like ult your ult. Like, he has to also, like, he's not going to be saving his ult for your ult. Also, if his ult is connected to a wall, it will just give you extra terrain. And then also, it's just very hard for Jarvan to actually do anything to Kiana, because you can just dodge his EQ super easily with like your spells. And you just end up becoming super strong. You can fast clear versus champ. So I wouldn't say it's a hard counter. It's like a soft counter. Like, people just like playing Kiana into Jarvan generally.
That's good. Okay, cool. Like, the way that the one interaction that I saw, not the one interaction, the interaction that stood out with me was Jarvan put down the ult, Kiana tried to ult, and it ended up just...
Yeah, but he ulted into the ult. Like, he was that situation, he was trying to actually ult the Jarvan inside the Jarvan's ult, which also is like, you can play it like that, but...
A mechanic.
Yeah. It was just a situation where, like, he made it look like it was fucking bad because he's bad. So,
sorry, Jamada. I thought your expanded high key was going to be another champion, since both of you guys were on the same
expanded. All right, we're on the same one, but Dom was just like, "Hey, the jungle mods are fucking stupid." I wanted to give a little bit more color to the pick. I'm kind of gonna do something a bit cheeky. I'm gonna low key and no key the same champion.
Okay,
but it's because it's Morgana, and it's
okay.
It's no key on mid, but it's a little low key on jungle. Like,
all right, I
think for me, I actually like Morgana in the spots where you should be picking it, where it's like enemy junglers, maybe someone like Trundle, and maybe like Black Shield is obviously just really oppressive against whatever the enemy comp is. and I think you can really outpace and really make a game difficult. And it's really annoying me. I can't remember what LPL game it was where effectively, I don't know who it was. It Shun maybe was piloting it. I want to say is the name that's coming to mind. Was it Beichuan? It might have been Beichuan. The day that Beichuan had a really good ass day.
Yep.
And he was like the highest level in the game because he was able to just farm everything off the map. Like it was ridiculous. And from the jungle, I feel like from a jungler's perspective, if your spells are Black Shield, a ranged root, and just like the W, that's fine, right? I think as long as you're staying relevant in farm, you're able to get to Zhonya's and you can just do the flash R Zhonya's thing. Like your job as a jungler is relatively fulfilled. In the mid lane, though, I just feel like you lack so much punching power that so many of the other mids in the meta have right now, whether it's the global mids like Galio, Ryzen, and Talia, or the more like kind of skirmish heavy ones. Excuse me, like Annie and how like Orianna is sometimes getting used actually with some of the jungle pairings. I just feel like I've seen maybe 3 or 4 different attempts at Morgana mid, and I've just hated every single one. So I need to see that die, and I need to see more Morgana jungle, because I think it's got a pretty solid matchup into a fair few of the junglers in meta right now, where it's like, if your first clear is undisturbed, and you've got like relatively stable lanes, and there's maybe only one form of engage on enemy, which is pretty common in a lot of drafts, especially in maybe game 3 of a Fearless, Morgana spots open up a lot. So I want to see Morgana more. She's my low key and my no key here.
I like that.
Just because of that split in seeing some of the mid as well.
Yeah, Dom, your picks were pragmatic for me. I was like, oh, these are picks that make sense. I was looking for the cheeky one. And Jamada, I think the Morgana was one that jumped out. I'm surprised no one brought up. I think we saw Kassadin. We saw Ivern. Ivern starting to move up in presence as well. Well, I can't think of like a top.
Do you know why though? It's the redemption thing, which we're approaching ardent levels of like
brokenness.
Get the item, or like you lose. And I don't know what's taken so long for people to clock on that redemption is just a really ridiculous item. Like it's 1.2 to 5k HP on purchase, potential effective health, plus is it 10% max health true damage or something really silly that it does to enemies inside of it as well. Like that item is just ridiculous for the cost. You can cast it at the same range as Twisted Fate ultimate. There is practically no downside to pressing the button other than like how you position it. It's really ridiculous. So yeah, I think Ivan is probably going to pop up a bit more over the next week or so.
The Reddit thread already had covered it. I think, what was it, in LCK or no
80%.
It was 80%, and then if you remove Nico, who has to get proto belt first because of the effective ult range, it's like 90 something percent ridiculousness. Yeah. So I think that's a pretty good thing to keep an eye out for. Got to. I mean, we got like 2 patches left, maybe 1 patch left. Is it 2 patches left? Is LTA Championship playing on a changing patch? Like,
I'm not sure actually, because we're eliminated. So yeah, I don't know.
Sorry, my bad.
Because it's locked for playoffs. Yeah, it's locked for playoffs in LCK and LPL, which is the way it should be for at least playoffs. At least.
No, I mean, we played on 3 different patches in 3 different series. Like 3 series in a row, we played on a different patch in LTA. Crazy. That's how they do it for our region. I mean, our region is kind of unserious though. Like, I don't think they would do that in another region. I don't think they would do that in LCK, like a region that actually is like, you know, like fucking, like, I don't know. I feel like you did that in LCK, that would be, people would be upset, you know? Like, imagine T1 loses because of a patch change. Like, that would be absolutely insane, I think.
Yeah. Well, that was high key, low key, no key there on some of the champs, and obviously the item warping the meta. Let us know some of the champs that teams have prepped here in the best of 5s that jumped out and caught your eye, and ones that you want to see them leave behind. Speaking of leaving things behind, you know what you shouldn't leave behind? The Raycon Everyday Earbuds Classic. You know, you don't want to leave them behind. because they are so good for everyday listening. It's in the name. I use it all the time on the bus, on the train, on the plane, in the rain. That's all I got. We're leaving it there. But it's packed with active noise cancellation. So cancel everything out. I can focus in on my TFT game. I can focus in on the co-stream of Dom's when I'm on the way to work to keep up on the LPL. It has a multi-point connectivity, so I can pair with multiple different devices. So I get to work, boom, right into my laptop, and a super comfortable ergonomic fit, especially for those with weird shaped ears, like our last Free Nation friend, Wolf. He has weird shaped ears. His earpiece always pops out on the broadcast. If you ever see him on the broadcast, take a look to see if his earpiece is out. It wouldn't happen if he was using the Raycon Everyday Earbuds Classic. But we don't use that on the LCK. Also, multiple different colors. As you've known, I've already lost 2 pairs, my 3rd pair on the way, and I'm going with the cool mint color. I think that fits a lot better for my style and also my hairstyle. It has 32 hours of battery life when you fully charge it. And if you're forgetful, you can quick charge it and get 90 minutes of listening in just 10 minutes of charging, which is awesome. So make sure to check out the Everyday Earbuds Classics. It's one of the items I use all the time here on Last Free Nation. You can do so and support us by heading on over to buyraycon.com/powerspike to get 20% off the site wide. That's buyraycon.com/powerspike to get 20% off site wide today. Buyraycon.com/powerspike. Check out the Everyday Earbuds Classics. It is awesome. My go-to. Thanks to our friends over at Raycon. All right, last segment, y'all. It is time to dive into the LPL. We haven't given it enough love, and they've had some very, very entertaining series here in both the opening rounds and later rounds here. So let's get into this week's Galaxy Brain Club. It's the LPL Playoffs. All right, both of y'all have keyed into some of the matches. We just had an elimination match here. NIP go home against what was the informed team in the middle of the season with Anyone's Legends. And they started off swinging, man. I mean, that whole series they were swinging. That series was so close throughout until they got to the game 4, and it was just a dud. Right? It was a game 4 or was it game 5? I forgot how many games it was, but
game 4.
Yeah, it was game 4. They tried to all in at like level 3-4 with the Cassidon and with the Smolder, and that was GG. So they didn't quite make it on out, but that's not the only series that was kind of crazy throughout. So also Peishwan subbing back on in for BLG. The JDG series was confusing and epic. I mean, I think my favorite team fight is the NIP series, the game 3 team fight deciding one around Otacon. Probably my favorite team fight so far in all of playoffs over the last couple weeks. Jamada, what has jumped out at you in the LPL so far?
Oh gosh, I mean, probably I'll take the softball here. BLG. I think the reverse sweep against JDG was an incredibly good look for them. I was really concerned coming out of those first 2 games. I'm going to cover kind of both BLG and IG kind of very briefly. When I saw Shadow sub back in, or sorry, rather Beitwan sub back in, mentally I was wondering if it was like, oh gosh, is this the moment where shit just collapses? And then they lose that game 2, and it was a game 2 which I feel like they didn't have much business losing in many ways, but they did anyway, thanks to like Shun Kindred mostly and a decent shit from Scout. But then I don't they just JDG. I'm not going to rant about JDG because maybe Dom wants to talk about them because of the EDG series or something else he wants to focus on. But Knight, man, just fucking incredible. Beitwan had one of the best jungle performances I've seen out of him, or just jungle performances, not even just out of him, like all year. Like just a straight raw dogging start to finish the second that he was involved. Even the first game that he got subbed in and lost, he didn't even look that bad. But the series that impressed me honestly more was IG, because not only did it realistically look like a series where they shouldn't have dropped the game, they styled on them. Like, they styled on them really badly. Whether it was Knight solo killing Rookie, was it 3 games out of 4 in all, or it might have been all 4 games. Like, he was laying some fucking pipe on Rookie's head, and he could not do anything about it. And yeah, I don't know. This just looked like vintage BLG, like 2023, 2024 BLG that we just expect to come in and play aggressive but measured and take every fight that they feel like they should be taking, and no breaks, all gas. Their macro actually looked good for a change. Like, I think the one thing that we've kind of been concerned about with BLG many times is how they kind of assess the map, and at times will kind of overload on one side of a map where it just feels like unnecessary, and then they're losing more than they should be because it's just they're making desperate plays to try and make up for a mechanical error someone has made somewhere else on the map. But we saw none of that today. We saw none of that in the IG series because they were just winning their lanes. And then even you look to the 4th game, we're getting drafts where we're getting Knight on fucking Lissandra, and it looks good. Like, it doesn't look bad. Like, it looks really good. So I think for me, it just seems like BLG, at least from that IG series, they have the capacity to be confident in themselves. They just actually need to drive home the point that they do have the hands to make this happen. And I don't know what's happened to Beichuan. I don't know what happened, like, since his injury and his timeout, but this has to be one of the biggest individual glow-ups I've seen of a player in a very, very long time. It's no secret how harsh I've been on Beichuan, right? And I think for many good reasons, and it's not an easy position to be in. I've compared it a lot to the like almost of kind of like how Dura had to step in and then look to his left, and he's got, world champs and international champs and some of the best players in Korea. Beichuan is kind of in a very similar position on BLG in the jungle, right? Coming from mid tier. Should he have even been the choice to begin with? Is even like another argument to make. But these last 2 series, I think he's really made good on himself. And if this series is anything to go by, I think by comparison of how Top Esports looked into Weibo, where like for Weibo Top Esports did not look good in their Weibo series at all in almost any game. I think BLG are going to give them a slacking, like a proper like belting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that series. But that to me, the BLG series are the ones that I was most happy to watch unfold, because it was just great seeing Knight play at that level and just really dominate the mid lanes for one, and then again all of those kind of more hyper aggressive, too aggressive things that we see now. BLG looking a little bit more measured.
Dom, before we get you to dive in there, I need you to comment on Pays inting into the fountain in an elimination series. And then
that was disgusting.
They tried 2 more times to close the game, and they didn't. I was getting stressed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just hate when fucking players do that. Like, I don't know why it just triggers me so hard. It's just like, just fucking end the game. Like, why do we not just end the game? It's fucking, it's 2025, and we're in elimination series, and we're not ending the game.
It was stressful though because he played so well, right? He played well and then did that, and it's like you could undo the whole year because of that shit. They were able to bounce back and win there. When you take a look at this playoffs, what else is like the big talking points for you here, Dom?
I mean, I think BLG they've obviously looked pretty good, so I've been surprised by how good they've actually looked in the games. Also, like going for multiple different strategies throughout. Like, one thing that I like about them is not only can they play like the engage stuff, but they also were able to go into the game and play like the Caitlyn Elise, like play that type of style, which is something they played throughout the year. They played at MSI. I think it looks really good the way that they do play it. So I respect them for that. I think that's pretty fucking solid. What else? I think like Top Esports, even though they've won, they've looked shaky. I mean, Weibo's had a bit of a glow up here. So got to consider that as well. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just looking mainly at those situations. I'm looking at AL playing fucking terribly in this playoffs. WE falling off a cliff. Yeah. I guess the EDGs looked kind of good for a Nirvana team. That as well. But yeah. That's pretty much where I'm at. Those are like the things that I'm looking at.
Yeah. When it comes to what do you think was like one of the best moments throughout the last couple weeks of LPL? Because I named a few, both the boneheaded one with Pays, but then also just that desperation team fight of NIP around the Otacon. I think that was so. I could just feel it. It just felt like playoffs, baby. Like it just, you could feel the energy ramping on up in a way that it hasn't felt like that yet in LCK.
You know what? I think EDG IG was unironically maybe one of the more entertaining series, despite it being a 3-0. I did not leave that series feeling like IG should have like walked out with a 3-0 record when you actually look at how that game got played, or how that series was played. And I hadn't really kept a strong tabs on EDG throughout the lower their lower group performances. I'd like tapped into some of the highlights. Everything looked as you'd expect when you're seeing a team be like 9-1, 9-2, whatever they ended up finishing. But specifically, Palkia, that kid, that support, he's going somewhere. If EDG don't have that guy locked down on like a 2-year contract or something, he is ending up on a big team immediately. And if he doesn't, I'll be very, 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 very surprised. His eye for engages, I mean, sometimes he does go too far, but I think when you're 18, 19, you're fresh. Like, he had 30 days of experience, I think. He was like a month on the academy, like, yeah, fuck it, come here. Like, come play on the main team. It is as raw a new talent as you get. And he looks at home. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't look out of place in the LPL. So I'm really excited for him. And I think him specifically, he made that series against IG very uncomfortable for them. I think he really was the difference maker. Like between him, I think the Neferi game that they had to play against. And then I want to say game 3 on the Nautilus. Like, he made that game difficult for IG to close out comfortably. So yeah, that was kind of a sleeper banger that I'm not surprised ended up being as exciting as it was. It just helped that IG were very clearly not in form as well to just kind of, balance out the scales even more.
With this loss for NIP and both EDG, we have our locked 6 teams that are still vying for the 4 slots in the LPL because of championship points. The LPL still has the gauntlet in championship point form. So whoever gets second in championship points will be the one that goes on. So it's not necessarily the one that goes to the finals, even though top esports and BLG are pretty well seated for that, especially if AL goes out early against IG, who has looked really good. That's going to be an absolute banger of a match. Let's just take a second on EDG and NIP. I mean, you brought up EDG here, Jamada. So NIP, Doomby comes back. They have the run. It was very fun, but ultimately fall short. Dom, what are your thoughts on the year for NIP?
I mean, honestly, it's hard to like say too much bad about it when like you have to just get a completely new roster because your original roster fails. Like, it's just one of those situations where like it's hard to judge their overall year because they had to just do different things, right? Like their plan just failed, right? So yeah, I mean, I don't know. For me, I don't judge it too harshly. I think Doonby actually looked better than I expected after not playing for so long, so I respect him for that. My go Doonby. So he was good. Leave raised the stocks a bit after being pretty sus for like a while. There's that as well. And yeah, I mean, I just think that overall, I guess it was a fine year. Nothing too impressive. Nothing too terrible either.
I'll tell you what I can't complain about.
Go for it.
I don't know how. I'm sorry, Shanji and Aki look tired from last year already. I don't know what the offseason looked like, but they wouldn't. If I was GM, Shanji and Aki wouldn't have made it onto that team coming to 2025. That's the only thing I really have to say. And I would honestly go as far. Obviously, it's like very heavy speculation, but that just seemed like a nepo thing almost. Like, I'm sorry, Shanji and Aki looked fucking horrible last year, and especially like you hold it up to the mirror that was 2023 as well. It kind of just makes that comparison worse. So that's what kind of frustrates me about the NIP roster is I think the groundwork was there for for a good roster to actually exist under the NIP banner, but it's such a strange decision to hold on to Shanji and Aki. And then even like bringing PP God in over Duo, also I think just a odd decision in my opinion, because I think Duo was one of the more important-ish parts of 2024 spring with NIP's almost run into top 3. So yeah, just odd decisions all around. And he came back and they looked better. So I think that also speaks to some of the decision making that got made there with NIP.
Let's jump into predictions here for LPL. Dom, give us top versus BLG, since we already think that Jamada thinks that BLG is going to give him a shellacking.
I mean, top esports, I don't know. It's hard to count them out. They kind of always show up in times like this. Unfortunately, I think they'll do pretty well.
Yeah. What are we thinking score-wise?
I appreciate that you threw in the unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, they're just a team that like you just hate to see do well. They're just such a such a cringe team. That's nothing else to say. It was just a fucking disgustingly cringe team. Like you just have to accept it. Like you watch LPL and fuck. I mean, no one wants to see them go internationally. You know that they just don't have the constitution or whatever you want to call it to do well. But they'll go internationally. They'll disappoint everyone. You just have to accept it. It's almost impossible for them to not make top 4. So, yeah.
Hey, look,
really, really unfortunate.
Look, lose here to BLG, lose here to any of the well, they're not losing to JDG or Weibo, so it has to somehow be ALIG. Then they have to go to what do you call it? To regionals probably, because I think any other team that quals in by winning summer, if it's not BLG, will probably have more championship points than them, and then we get them. Then we potentially have them miss international. That's the path thing that I think true LPL patriots yearn for.
I mean, we still have their little placards in the LCK from first stand, and so they are the thing that lasts. They are the team that lasts here in the LPL. Let's move down to Weibo and JDG. Again, two great mid laners in this one that have been very, very successful in the past. Not so much lately for Scout, but a lot of experience here in this matchup. What do you got here, Jamada?
I hate both these motherfuckers, bro. I think JDG are somehow just they're gonna edge it. And I don't know why I get this annoying gut feeling, but for once, I actually feel like Weibo are just gonna keel over and die. I don't think they've got
JDG.
the magic in them. I don't think they've got the magic in them this time, man. I don't know. They just look a little bit more lifeless than normal. And that top esports series, like, I think demonstrated, obviously top esports domestically right now, best team probably in the LPL. But even versus Weibo, versus AL, it was like, it was almost like I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like, it didn't feel real. And I feel like they've run out of juice. Like, I feel like whatever curse they cast to allow this performance, I think is done. And I feel like whilst JDG have looked nothing short of horrendous,
Okay.
I just feel like one of these teams has to win, and I've just got a feeling it's going to be JDG. That's literally it. That's it. That's it. This is mostly on gut. I feel like both these teams have struggled tremendously. I feel like the one positive thing for JDG, maybe two, Xiaoshu. I think Xiaoshu has stepped up a lot. And Pays, but like someone needs to belt him. That's it. Just like no more Nexus diving, no more like crazy like oversteps. Just bro, let them know you're Korean. It's that simple, man. Just let them know you're Korean. And I think that series probably leans JDG's way, but definitely concerned about Scout. Very concerned about Wink. Like those are the 2 weak points on JDG. But I think probably like 3. I think it's probably 5 games. I think it's 3-2.
What do you got here, Dom?
I'll go. I will go 3-2 Weibo, I guess. 3-2 Weibo.
I couldn't hear it.
It's just so bad, bro. Like, it's just, I think JDG is so like, it's so uncoordinated. I mean, honestly, Scout has just been so terrible that it's like hard for me to imagine him.
You can't ignore it, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think Weibo will probably get it done. Just is what it is.
You're picking through the pain points here, and then finally, I think the banger of the 3, IG versus AL. One of these teams has to lose. Yeah, this is the Sunday match, the final match of the week here for these teams. What do you actually no? The top esports and BLG will be the final match. But what do you got here for this one? Let's start with you, Dom.
I think IG should just win at this point. They just look so much better like than AL. AL has been really fucking bad. I hope AL wins, but I think IG should win. They've just like if this split matters at all, if it's not just a complete fiesta of a split, I just feel like IG should win.
Jamada.
Yeah. Like AL don't look like themselves. I don't know what else to say. Like they don't look like they're on the same page. Their drafts are wonky. Mechanically, they're not all there. It's a degradation that I just didn't think I would see happen. And I think especially from Kyle. Because I feel like he had a really shaky MSI as was. And then it felt like that just never really left. Like it felt like that's just really that performance. I don't know. I don't want to like say, oh, it's haunting him or this, that, the other. But there's been no progress since then. And I feel like the only person that's still having decent games from time to time is Tarzan. And even Tarzan is really kind of struggling a lot. It's that or like Shanks angles on weird / very hands checky champs.
Yeah.
But I feel like if IG do not look like the kind of team to be like disturbed by a bad, I beg your pardon, result. If they're the team that we know them to be right now, they probably just 3-1 them and keep it pushing. Like I expect them to finish top 3 IG. I'd be very surprised if they don't come out on top of this lower bracket.
I love how in the harder to pick, less enjoyable to pick, more painful to pick series, you gluttons for punishment both gave 5 games, and then for the banger series between the two fun teams, you're like, well, 3-1 Andy, I guess that's it is what it is. LPL playoffs, man, we're finally at the cream of the crop. Unfortunately, like and they're not all firing at all cylinders, I'd say, but it is still highly entertaining and has been a lot of fun to watch. All right, there it is. LPL in the book. This episode of Power Spike in the book. This was a long ass one. Again, I keep saying, let's keep it. A tight.
We'll
90.
do short ones. We'll do short ones. I mean, we're pretty close to 90. I think. To be fair, I don't think we're that far north.
I think we are. Either way, we appreciate all of you have stuck with it and been here with us. Again, let us know in the comments in terms of who you think is going to win the LPL. Let us know how fraudulent the T1 victory was, and some of your favorite meta picks that have happened so far in the play-ins and playoffs, and what you expect. If someone calls out a good one and is like, all right, this week, this is going to happen, I'll give you the shout out. Thanks to all of our sponsors. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. Catch Dom's co-streams. We've got Mr. Tentacles himself, more educational content on Alawi coming out from Jamada. I just did and like I said earlier, I just did my hour-long sit down with Genji's CEO, Arnold. Talked about Chovy, talked about Ruler, talked about Chovy and Ruler together, Duro, all that good stuff. And his vision for success. A lot of really good quotes and really fun time. So check that one out. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you guys next week for more Power Spike.